Bitcoin is dead. You're hearing that over and over, all over the place. Peter Schiff is the champion for Bitcoin is dead. So we're going to get in and take a look at that. Is Bitcoin dead? What is going on? The markets had a nice little rebound today after a terrible week last week, up 2.3% in the Dow, 2.6% in the S&P, and 2.7% on the NASDAQ. And like I discussed in my last video, I expected a nice little green bounce day today. So we will have to see where the markets take us from here, as headline risk is what we're watching for. Home builders are reporting this week. Existing home sales fell again. So we're watching the resale market correct in the housing market. And, you know, just watching for any other news about like the Bank of Japan, Switzerland, the EU. We've got a global macroeconomic environment out there that's very, you know, risk off, as central banks around the world all pull back and go into QT mode, quantitative tightening and raising interest rates. But this is the chart I wanted to show you. We're going to take a look at it in relation to Bitcoin, where, you know, the Google trends since the beginning of Bitcoin, going back to 2010. You had a little spike in Bitcoin is dead in March of 2014. Guess where that was? You had another one right here in January of 2018, another one right here in December of 2018, and then we are back on June 2022, where we were in January 2018. So we're going to take a look at the charts there, and let's see. This is Bitcoin on the daily here. Bitcoin is continuing its rebound today. Let's see what it's up right now, about 18%, maxed out at a 23% bounce. Nice little bounce for Bitcoin. Let's look at the daily here and put this into perspective. And you see what this looks like on the daily. Looks a whole lot like this area right here, right? So what is the potential likelihood? Is that Bitcoin may bounce around in this area. So we had a wick low of 17.6. in a wick high of 21.6. So really your zone right now looks like it's being put in around 20,900 down into that 19,000 range. So Bitcoin could likely just kind of dance around in this range here and then bam, right? So that's what it's been doing. It's just been stopping off at these levels and just kind of working its way down, because again, there's no real catalyst to reverse the market right now in Bitcoin. Investors aren't jumping in here at scale and just driving the price up. There's a little bit of mild accumulation here and there, mostly by you know, smaller traders, you know, but not enough to really drive the price. So there's still a lot of contagion in the market, still a lot of uncertainty, still a lot of risk. So my expectation is a little more consolidation than down, ultimately finding that base. And again, it's all depending on traditional markets right now and the Fed and risk off. So let's go look at this. Bitcoin is dead. And no, I do not think Bitcoin is dead. Bitcoin is not going anywhere. It's not going away. We don't know how low it'll go. That's the thing. I mean, there's no guarantees, but right here is January 2018, right in this area. So Bitcoin already dropped, you know, 50, 60%, whatever that was. How much was that? Let's see, that was 45%. So Bitcoin dropped 45%, rebounded, dropped again. And right in here, people are like, Bitcoin's dead, it's over. And then right again in December. So where's December? Right here. This is December of 2018. You know, once again, or right down here at the bottom, once again. So the first time was back here when it dropped. And then the second time when it hit bottom, everybody was asking, is Bitcoin dead? So if you look at where we're at right now, and search is at an all-time high, this is the first search. So is this the beginning or is this the end? Is this the bottom, you know, where people are searching, is Bitcoin dead? Or is this, you know, it's obviously not the top, because that was around here and searches weren't up in this area. Let's go back to 2014, and March of 2014 was right around, where did that go? Right in this area here. Yeah, same thing, right in this area here. After the initial sell-off, people were calling for Bitcoin to be dead. And I know my personal journey. I started watching Bitcoin probably around this area here, I think it was 2015, 2016, watching Bitcoin kind of rise and drop, rise and drop. Really didn't get my interest till it hit 20,000, but then I saw it drop off again. So yeah, I was one of those people watching to see if Bitcoin was going to die, right? But Bitcoin keeps hanging on. I jumped back in here at the bottom of March 2020 and did not ride all of this out. And I've been getting in and out along the way with Bitcoin and altcoins ever since. And right now, obviously, what we're looking for is the ultimate bottom. I do not think this is it. I think this is just an area of consolidation, market structure like we had over here in 2020. that, in the environment we're in with the Fed just getting started, they haven't really started their QT program. They're just starting on raising interest rates. There's going to be a couple of more rate hikes. I know there's several people calling for a Fed pivot this summer, or maybe by the end of the year, because of the recession that's going to be created. But that's what they're trying to do. They want they don't want a recession in terms of the official term of it, but they know they have to destroy demand. It's going to be very difficult to avoid a recession. They're not going to pivot just because we're in a recession, because they can't. They're not going to pivot till the inflation comes down significantly. So you got to see inflation get cut in half, and it's still going up. It's going to print higher next month because it's a month behind. And, before we see any flattening, a couple of people are saying oil prices came down, so that's going to, give the Fed a reason to pivot. That's not significant enough. Oil just briefly came down. It's kind of ranging and bouncing here. It could easily shoot right back up. So, you got to look at this in perspective. If oil, this is the March of 2020, oil was trending around 70 bucks a barrel. So it's got to come down significantly, and gas prices have to get back down below $3 before the Fed feels comfortable that that's any kind of indication that inflation is softening. Housing still needs to adjust, rents need to adjust, food needs to adjust. There's a lot of things that need to happen to the economy before the Fed would even think about talking about considering backing up. Here's the Dow right here, nice little bounce today. But again, we get these little relief rallies and downs. So we can have a couple of green days here. Hopefully it can follow through where Bitcoin, can continue to bounce around range, maybe pop up a little bit more. But, in terms of the perspective of these bounces, if you look at where we came from, this initial drop right here, I mean, this was nice. That was a 36% bounce. And then this drop right here, that was a 12% bounce. This drop right here overall had a 26% bounce. And then right here, this is a 26% bounce. So everybody's still watching the same things, watching that 200-week moving average to see how price reacts to that, whether this is going to become resistance now, which it is, or if it gets flipped into support. As long as that becomes resistance or stays resistance, that's not really good. There's a whole reset going on. If you look at the logarithmic growth curves and things like that, we'll look at that on another video. Here's your Bitcoin hash ribbon indicator, still in the capitulation mode, sell mode. We're walking a thin line for the miners right now, but if this, Bitcoin takes another leg down, then I think you'll see a lot more capitulation out of the miners, a lot more capitulation out of investors. And again, the big thing we still have not seen is the Fed hasn't taken any real serious, severe action so far. And in terms of quantitative tightening, they haven't really started rolling off the balance sheet yet. They haven't really raised interest rates anywhere near where they need to be. The interest rates need to be 3 times what they are now. We're at about 100 basis points. They're targeting 350 basis points. We haven't even gotten started. So there's a lot more downside left in the markets. They're taking a little breather right now, and before that next leg down. So you want to be careful. You want to be defensive. I mean, there's just no catalyst to reverse the markets right now. Investors are very cautious. There's been a lot of money lost, so everybody's in protection mode right now. But Bitcoin is not dead. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to zero. It's not going away. I mean, anything's possible. It could go to zero, but it's going to bounce. It's not going to just disappear. The miners, there's significant institutional miners out there that have a lot of capital. They're not wrapping up and going home. Bitcoin has dropped much lower in the past than where we are now, and the miners stayed in business and kept right on going. So there's a lot of capital flowing into the space, a lot of talent flowing into the space, a lot of investment capital going into different aspects of the space. So a lot of cryptos will go away. A lot of them will go to zero and go away. The market will get thinned out, cleaned out, which it needs to. But Bitcoin in and of itself is not going anywhere. The question is, where's it going to bottom? We don't know. It all depends on the global macroeconomic environment. I just know this isn't it. Well, I don't know, but this doesn't feel like it's it, just based on where we are in the cycle right now and just the number of people that are just calling for reversal and all-time highs. That's not panic. We haven't had that panic capitulation where people just give up and really believe that it's over for Bitcoin. So we'll see that, and you'll know it when that moment happens. And unless the economy all of a sudden just turns the corner and inflation just gets cut in half and the supply chain opens up and everything just fixes itself, that's the only thing that's going to create the environment for price to rebound quickly. So that is what I'm looking at, and I will see